Sup boys, hope you guys are doing good. So today we're starting the short review thing that we decided, we've been going on that, but we were going in the written format, and we decided to kind of switch it up with the whole video review thing, because coming to TV shows, it's kind of so condensed, especially with shows like Money Heist, that it gets kind of tough to just write it down unless I'm writing an entire research paper on it, which I'm not really looking forward to doing, especially with so much of those already in college. That's where we're at right now. We're doing the video review for season 5. I'll try to. So basically, how I decided of going about it was I'll sort of give brief cuts of me actually just watching, because I've not watched it yet. Yes, I'm late to the party and I've not watched it yet, but yeah, I could just watch it, and then as I finish it, I'll just give you my review right there and then. So just to give you a preface, and that'll sort of help me recollect as to where we are right now. It's season 5 that's going on. Season 1 and 2 were the Royal Mint of Spain. That was basically the first heist, divided into 2 parts over the first and the second season, and then this particular heist, which is in the Bank of Spain, is divided in across 4 seasons and 2 parts. So season 3 and 4 were part 1, and season 5 and 6, which is 5 which has come out right now, and 6 which is supposed to come out in December, I think, will be part 2 of that particular heist. Season 4 ended very typically, very signature of Money Heist, on a very chilling cliffhanger, in fact. Just recounting that, of course, it was the most important part being Nairobi's death right before it ended. The entire scene, of course, no fan of Money Heist ever forgets that. I wouldn't consider myself a fan. Because I don't remember most of the stuff, plus I don't spot Easter eggs and all of that, like I can do for so many other things. But yes, I enjoy the show. It's interesting. It's become a sort of symbol, a pop culture symbol for resistance. And yeah, of course, I enjoy it. So yeah, of course, it ended with Nairobi's casket being drawn out of the bank with the engraved thing, the boss. After that, of course, at the end, with Lisbon meeting up with the rest of the team members, and Sierra, her name was Sierra, Inspector? Sienna, one of those. I'll write it somewhere over here. Sierra or Sienna. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name too much. It's been a while, dude. And Sierra or Sienna, whoever, she had the professor at gunpoint. So that's where we are at right now. Please, whatever, just share this, follow, like. I'm trying this stuff for the first time, so leave a feedback, whatever you like, whatever you don't. If you have some suggestion on how I can make it better. And yeah, let's watch it.
Okay, let me pull out the screen recording thing. For Nairobi!
Hey, Berlin. There he is.
Stitch him up and make sure he shuts the fuck up. Okay, here. Firstly, I couldn't find the right moment during this conversation to tell you that I'm taking a shit. And it doesn't matter now. Secondly, I'll be there in 40 minutes. Object to it. I'll never stay with you in my life, okay? I'm an engineer. Get out of the car! Explosives!
Who is this guy? Too good. Love this scene.
Hi, Lisbon. Hey, Tokyo. Helsinki.
Well, hello to every single one of those cities you're named after, but we'll never again have the chance to visit.
Who's that?
Corny.
Sierra. I'm really sorry, Tokyo.
Ouch. This one hurts the most.
I'm really so sorry.
Enough. Hey, that's enough.
One day you realize you won't ever see your child again, your friends again, or that you'll never hug your father again.
Okay, so you guys just watched the reaction of the first episode, and I just finished watching the first episode. Ideally, I'm assuming because of the narrative at which they left season 4, and considering this was the introductory episode of season 5, their primary objective was to allow a seamless segue from season 4 to season 5. And I think if that was the objective, they've done it actually pretty well. It starts off by sort of replaying the ending sequence of the last episode of season 4, and then transfers directly into what the objective is going forth. There are a couple of things that I thought they could have done a bit better, but before I get into that, let me get into the good parts. Of course, the objective that they had was fairly well. They continued their tradition of being spectacularly intense. Okay, like right within the first 9 or 10 or I don't know 20 minutes, within the first 20 minutes there was Professor hanging upside down and all of that. So yes, there were plot twists, there were curveballs being thrown, there were plans being made with city names that were meant to deal with those curveballs. The professor was giving out his plan Rome, plan Paris, all of that. Of course, him being one step ahead of the curve. It was very typical of that. The shots, of course, Money Heist is known for the beautiful shots, the beautiful cinematography. It was all there, okay? All of that was there. Couple of things that I did. One thing which I've sort of grown accustomed to now is the soundtrack. I did not particularly like the soundtrack, and I personally, this is not a big thing, of course, this is in no way a big thing, but I personally like a good soundtrack because one thing I also expected it out of Money Heist because they're known for that. You know, they're known for that dichotomy of that soundtrack. You know, their soundtracks are usually super chill and slow paced, while the scene that is actually going on in the background is super intense, and that sort of contrast is beautiful, and it has the potential of being excessively redundant in some sense, but Money Heist does it so well that you sort of almost get even more involved into the story being told. Apart from that, the other thing that did not, and this has been a complaint for me throughout Money Heist over the seasons, the acting is barely on par. None of the actors really stand out. Okay, so it's almost like the acting feels like acting instead of it flowing in a fluid manner or in a smooth manner. Okay, so this has been a complaint for me throughout, and I think this persists even during this season. Even with the new cast, I am not really feeling the acting. Okay, but apart from that, the show, of course, it's been a brilliant overall. It's been a brilliant first episode. I'm really interested in seeing where they're going to take it from here. And it's very tough to even predict where they might, because Money Heist, it's just dumb to even try to predict because they just take a complete U-turn from what your prediction would ideally be. And yeah, I just hope they incorporate a few things. Arturo has not had enough screen time. I think he might be getting some screen time over the next couple of episodes, although I do hope they don't overdo it. They have a tendency of overdoing it with Arturo, and I hope that they don't do. But of course, he deserves some screen time because that sort of brings in that that evil flair into that, and sort of gives you that moment of wholeheartedly hating someone, and I love that. So yeah, apart from that, it's good. Really looking forward to getting into episode 2. For me, that episode was, I would rate it a 7 on 10 for sure. 7 on 10. Love this. This is what I love. I was talking about this in the first episode, remember? The soundtrack with that. It's brilliant stuff that they do. I need to look this up, so. Love this scene.
You feel free.
You give me a hard on, Angelito.
Oh, come on.
Give me a security detail so I...
Oh yeah, Dr. Tokyo's here.
That would radically change how we play the game.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
He came here to give us an ultimatum, but he didn't even use his best move.
Big brain. Big brain time.
Now you're the piece of shit yelling in the
Don't
back.
kill him, dude.
Kill him, because when you had the chance, you couldn't do it yourself.
Not
You
yet.
didn't have the balls. Rio, you didn't have the now, dude.
Don't.
You're accusing me?
Dude, the plan will get rolled. Don't.
Flowers to the morgue. I'm sure your little friend is still nice and
Oh.
warm. And still plenty tight. What would
Okay, kill him.
instead?
Yeah, now you can kill him.
The shit out of Arturo.
Kill him.
Just teased you.
Better kill him.
The ground, you fucking turd!
Oh shit. What is that? The cheaper version of Suicide Squad. Hit him so bad. Oh no.
Looks like we got a hold of their arsenal.
Oh god. Oh hell no. The entire world is like burning outside.
Senor
And she
Martinez,
is vlogging.
camera.
Priorities.
Senor Martinez.
Oh shit.
No.
Oh no, don't do that.
Even though
Oh my god. He's doing it. He's using football reference.
Neymar
Oh, it gets worse.
and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh my god.
God,
Ah.
no.
God no. Oh. Holy shit.
Son of a bitch! You had to fucking kidnap her!
Ah, shut up. Nobody even likes you, dude. Ooh, that shot was beautiful. She killed him? He's dead? Arturo's dead. Hallelujah. Okay, so I just finished watching the second episode, and yes, it was definitely a step up from the first episode. The first scene itself, it was pretty good. Like I mentioned, I was mentioning it in the first episode. Remember that they have this tendency of overlaying a song, a slow song, a very chill song with when there is an intense sequence going on, and they did that in the first scene itself. It was missing in the first episode, and they did that in the first scene itself, and I really enjoyed that. That was a very good sequence. See, ideally the episode, as it went along, I realized that, it was more of a bridge episode between the first half of this season and the second half of this season itself. It was ideally to sort of join they laid out the objective in the first season, and then how they would actually go on and achieve it. They sort of played the bridge episode gap, and it's necessary, especially with shows like this, which are so intricate and so many storylines are so entangled together. It's important to give that bridge episode, because it sort of gives a deeper dive into the plan and the storyline. Of course, that's how we get into the new sergeant who's come together with that cheap Suicide Squad. The best part about the episode was, of course, the violence. The violence part of it was finally introduced, and God, we were waiting for it. The first episode, of course, and I understand why the first episode did not have it, but the second episode, finally, it had that violence element. Was good. They brought in a flamethrower. I'm just sad that Arturo had the flamethrower. I wish Helsinki had the flamethrower. God. Again, I like I mentioned, remember in the first episode review also, that Arturo was lacking screen time, and I'm glad he got the screen time, because they need that evil element throughout this thing, and that kind of oscillates between Gandia and Arturo primarily in this show. But it was, they have a tendency of overdoing it. It becomes overwhelming for the viewers. I don't know if it's for everyone, but for me, especially the whole back and forth between Denver and Arturo, it ends up taking the central role instead of the entire heist being the narrative. This ends up becoming the narrative, and I do not really enjoy that a lot. But he looks like he's dead. Waiting for that third episode it'll become clear. But I love that, how Stockholm took charge over there, and it was essential because that dichotomy between Arturo and Denver could only be broken by somebody like Monica or Stockholm. So yes, it was a fairly good episode. The shots were beautiful. That one shot wherein the girl, I forget her name, who's with Denver, she kind of pulls him back when Arturo takes out the flamethrower, and there's flame behind, and you can only see their silhouette, kind of borderline silhouette in front of it. That's a beautiful shot. And of course, we don't know what's happening with Professor over there. Think he's alright. I think he's just passed out. But yeah, let's see where the story takes up now. Because now, as we are moving towards the third, fourth, fifth, I'm assuming they'll make it more apparent as to how they're going to go forth with the gold pellets and all of that, actually with the actual escape from the heist, instead of just revolving inside. Right now it became that sort of, that Tom and Jerry goose chase between the hostage and this thing. And now I think that Suicide Squad guy will also take charge and actually enter the the bank. And let's see how the third episode goes. Really looking forward to it. And that episode was definitely a step up, a definite 7.5 out of 10 for me. Got it.
Me as a gift. And I did get a case after all, yeah. But it was a tool case. Then I just all the pieces.
I'm loving this parallel they're doing with Berlin's story and the main story, I don't know where they're going to converge, but it's interesting.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, now she's understanding what sort of a vermin this Tomayo is.
Shut your mouth, I just need a think.
Uh-oh.
No.
It's not the same as
Is this? It feels so good having this Denver-Moscow conversation again. Really, it's good.
what the fuck can they teach us about losing?
Yes, very important. Very, very important.
Terrible Vietnam movie. Exactly, it's much worse.
Yeah.
The defense of Stalingrad.
This child.
She continues to vlog.
Rescue, son of a.
Which means there aren't many entry points for us to choose.
Is that getting a haircut?
An entrance.
Oh my god. That's freaky. My god, this intensity is too much. So we just finished watching the third episode, and I think that was, again, they're staying true to their episodes, stepping up one after the other. And again, this was a step up, definitely a step up from probably my favorite episode till now. And it's going to be a tough one to top because it had so many elements fitting right together to make this extremely beautiful puzzle that this episode was. Right off the bat with Arturo, I hope he died. But I really wished he died. But yeah, it was essential that he did not die because they have their principles and they needed the sequences to align to that. Plus, another important thing was it brought about, because it was Stockholm who was involved in the shooting, it brought about this entire new emotional quotient to the episode. The interaction between her and Denver, the interaction between her and Manila, her own self-introspection and all of that. That was really, it brought about that whole new emotional quotient. On that note itself, her conversation with Manila will be one of the most pivotal point because that brought about an entirely new dynamic that we had not yet seen in the episode. Or the show, in fact. So, I mean, I was not sure how their both dynamic was going to be, and that was really good to watch. Another thing that really, one of the things that really disappointed me again was the acting, but this time it was not so much from the core members, but actually from the crowd when Arturo's body is brought out with the governor. The crowd over there, if you just go back and watch it, it's almost, their reaction is so jarring and so sudden that it's almost unbelievable. It's like, they were just revolting and all of a sudden the body is drawn out and they stop revolting and they're almost in that fixated gaze of hatredness towards the people whom they were just revering about a few seconds ago. So that is like too jarring. It's not how normal human emotions work. One of the most important scenes that I mentioned during the episode also that really made this episode what it was that scene with Palermo and him talking to the other members of the heist when he talks about how they're all losers and how they all belong to this marginalized sections of the society, be it them being trans, be it them being Latinos, be it them being gays, whatever. They've known sadness, they've known loss, they've known defeat, which is what has united them, and that has become their advantage over the other side, because they know where they've come from, they've known defeat, and that is what drives them and motivates them into not going back to it again. So that will be a very, very pivotal point in this entire show. Another very, very important thing, and I think that is the best thing that this show has done, the writers have done in this entire season, is Sierra's character development. From being one of the most diabolically hated character towards the ending of 4th season to now to I really hope they don't bring her into the team. As much as she's cool and all, I do not want her to see in the team, because that will just be too predictable, and I do not want to see that, because that parallel between her story and the mainline story of the heist members, the heist, is extremely, extremely beautiful. Plus, with the character development, with the story that has been written for her, with the way her character has been written, it's just unbelievably good. For me, that has been the best point of this show so far, and it's something that I'm super intrigued about. That episode was a definite 8 on 10 and probably will be a tough one to top. Oh, thank God he's alive.
Everyone take cover! Never abandons it.
That man, he has no.
They look so relaxed, and look at this kid.
He has
This Rafael kid, he's like
his father's
crapping his pants over here.
He's right.
No.
It's a marble statue, weighs at least 2 tons. We won't be able to move it, Palermo.
No.
I'll cut it.
We've got to buy a bypass.
Yeah.
Contact next.
You're the sexiest woman in the world, but I love you for your brains. Reserved funds, and on top of that, I'll transfer.
There's the OG professor.
Because I've been in love with him all my life.
Stop messing around. It's no time for jokes, okay? It's no time for jokes.
It's not a joke, buddy.
We saw that coming,
It's
didn't
not a
we?
joke. The thing is, since
Just
we're
not
gonna
right
die,
now. I
this
did
is
not expect it to come
you
right
know?
now, but. Oh, come on, no. Dude, even his ghost is annoying me.
Holy shit.
We're gonna see Nairobi.
We get an hour
I can
break
feel
and
it.
just wants to fuck.
You
I
can
mean,
feel
what is this
it.
place? It's
I can
so
feel it.
teenagers.
Yes!
Well, if Rio
She's
was
here.
there, what do you think you'd be doing?
Oh my God.
Just told me that Nairobi is saving you a place in heaven.
Okay. Okay, so we just finished watching 4th episode, and what a crazy ride. Honestly, just what a crazy ride. I really just want to get into episode 5 as soon as possible, but I had to do the review, so I just came here. But otherwise, I'm just looking forward to just get into it, because that moment where they left, it's all about just getting into episode 5. So just going off the top, brilliant episode. They covered most of the aspects of a perfect episode that they could have. It was right from the beginning itself, with the thrill was like totally amped up, adrenaline was rushing like throughout. The one part wherein the way they're paralleling Berlin's story. One thing over there though, I just hope they converge it somewhere and it has some significance. I just hope it's not just some filler story that they're doing, because then it'll be really pointless. I mean, as much as I love Berlin, I do not want the story writing to be, sort of criticized on that part, that they just did it for the sake of doing it and not for any intent. I mean, violence was totally top notch, you know, from grenades to bazooka. Dude, they got a bazooka. And then, of course, with the whole Helsinki's part, what an emotional roller coaster that scene, dude. I felt it in my bones. And of course, Palermo's acting, have to give props because I've been crapping on their acting throughout the last 3 episodes here. Palermo's acting, especially, was outstanding in that scene wherein he's speaking to Helsinki, and you can see that pain in his eyes. It reflects in his eyes, you know. So that acting was not done mechanically. That acting, the actor, whoever he is, I'm not sure, I'll mention his name somewhere. The actor, he felt it right in his bones. That acting was from the soul. It was top-notch acting. Of course, we cannot go by without mentioning Professor coming back and playing the role that we love to see him play the most. You know, when he's talking to Tamayo on the headphones. For the last 3 episodes, we had not seen that yet. This entire season, of course. And yes, that's how we love the Professor. That's how we fell in love with the Professor originally. And it was good that they brought him back by the end of this season, because it would have been really weird seeing him just in handcuffs and delivering a baby throughout the season. Would have been really weird. But yeah, I can see him doing that in the 5th episode entirely now, so that's good. Another scene that we cannot go by without mentioning is the terrace scene between Manila, Tokyo, and Denver. I think the entire objective behind the scene was to create a relatability factor amongst the viewers. You know, because Manila has always been seen as this person who has this extremely hard-shelled exterior. So for that person to crumble down and to have that vulnerable moment just goes on to show that, you know, the people who seem to have it all together are the ones who can also fall apart, sort of creating that vulnerable moment. And in that particular moment, it was just absolutely, of course, it is very clear that they did it to create that thought process in the consumer, but it was done really well. Another really good aspect of this particular episode that I liked was, of course, the story writing has been insane throughout this series itself, not just this particular season. They have always been known for that. But one thing that really caught my attention was when Arturo's spirit comes back, and of course, I hate it. I hate his spirit as much as I hate his actual being. But when it comes back, that's a very important part because, you know, they could have easily just let it go. You know, that's not something that everybody was counting on or remembering, because there was so much violence and so much emotional roller coaster that was going on that nobody would have even thought about it. But for the story writers to actually remember that still, despite it not being a part of the grand narrative, Stockholm's inner debate is dependent, and her character development is dependent on her closure with Arturo, and she hasn't found it yet. So of course, it's going to haunt her. So creating that scene to work on that storyline was just brilliant story writing. And of course, the ending, I mean, what do I even say about that ending? I still don't know. It's not settled in. I've not fully grasped it yet. I mean, it went like a total roller coaster right from the moment that grenade dropped, and then they took control, the other guys. And towards the end, when Gandia, you know, taunts Tokyo, I mean, what an ending scene. It's left you in this moment that I just cannot wait to go and watch episode 5. It was the perfect penultimate scene. It was the perfect penultimate episode. I mean, that was a perfect 8 on 10 for me. They're doing the origin story again. They're going deep into it. Not in the last episode.
Hey, you in the kitchen! Next time, throw it with the little queso!
What?
You know what we're gonna do? Exactly what I just told you, and you're gonna shut your mouth.
Yeah, this Discord was bound to happen. It's that alpha male thing. It's bound to happen. Oh no. Nah, don't do that. No. Oh no. That just ruined it. What is she doing? What's happening? No, no, no.
Fire!
Oh no.
There's no time.
No, 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 no.
That's probably dead.
Ah.
Dentro de ti ansiedad.
Okay, that was some episode. What I might say might not be the most popular opinion, but exclude the last 20 minutes, we'll come to that. But apart from that, I did not primarily like the episode. That may be because of the way they were going. Okay, in a very absolute sense, the episode was good, of course, but in the relative sense of where it was going and how good they were doing, especially with episode 3 and 4, how they had really upped their standards, that did not really hit the mark for me. The most part of it, at least the first 30-35 minutes. There were a couple of problems which stood out. Before I come to the major problem, the first one being there were a couple of outlandish things that they did. First one, that grenade thing, that really put me off. That's a very nonsensical sort of thing. That does not happen. It's hardly believable. Just extremely outlandish. So for me, that really did not hit the mark, really put me off, and did not even want me to go back and rewatch that scene, because I just knew what was going to happen and I was not looking forward to it. Second thing, that Helsinki's moment wherein he was like totally writhing in pain, and then all of a sudden he sees Stockholm going into this panic mode, and despite the situation that he was in, he was nearly dying, and on deathbed he's like, he starts for that, maybe it was just for 10 seconds, but he's, I understand what you're going through. Then death, killing does that to people and all that. That does not happen. That sort of lacks the believability factor. So those were the two things, especially in the believability section, which really put me off. Coming to the important stuff, which did not work well for me, was, of course, it had the emotional quotient. Of course, it had enough emotional quotient for an entire show put together, but I think the hyper focus on Tokyo was not necessary in the last episode. This episode, honestly, hear me out, this episode, if it had been the first episode of next volume, would have killed it. But they should have realized that this was the last episode. They needed to build a story to a point wherein it wants people to come back. The others, they are already pretty much in a safe zone. Okay, if they had left Tokyo without her being killed, it would have been much better than what they did with having her killed. Yes, it was a very triumphant moment. It was a bittersweet moment on steroid, with the entire squad being dead, but Tokyo also getting killed as collateral damage. But you need to realize that what I am coming from is, this episode, with the whole origin story, that hyper focus on origin story, the hyper focus on her love life, all of that, the hyper focus on her meeting the professor, yes, it was essential for Tokyo being Tokyo, and Tokyo being such an essential member of the group. But this episode did not deserve to be the last episode, especially coming off of the cliffhanger that they had left the fourth episode on. They were supposed to build on the intensity, max up the intensity to the actual top limit, and leave it and drop it at that right at the end of fifth episode, just so people were honestly just dying to come and watch the next volume. And then the first episode of the next volume, they should have dropped this episode. It would have been, honestly, I tell you, this would have been the perfect story writing move. That is where it put me off. Because of that, I think I'd slightly rate it a little lesser. The episode in itself was great, but in sequential order, it did not do it for me. So for that, I'd say it was a 7 on 10. But let's get into So guys, we're finally here. You just saw all my reviews and reactions to that. I've pretty much summarized it as we went along. Just to kind of recap through before we go finish it off in this last segment. I think overall the season was really well done. It was much better than, I think this has to be one of my favorite seasons up until now. I'm not sure how I'm going to rank it right now, but that's also because I'm not able to recap all the seasons. But yes, definitely one of the best reactions that I've had watching one of Money Heist seasons. Just to go retrace, there were a couple of things that I really enjoyed. One of them being the action sequences. They were already well known for their action sequences, and somehow they have even topped that, because right this time with all the bazookas and the grenades and the flamethrowers, they really amped it up. I liked how they did not overwhelm us with Arturo's presence. Yes, they did in fact put it there, which was enough, and then they did not come back to it, and that was good. I liked how they were intricate with a few details, especially with Stockholm's Arturo thing, the closure thing, and which I also mentioned, and another thing with Manila's storyline, which is very interesting, how she's shown as a vulnerable character this time, despite having that hard exterior, as I mentioned. So that is another thing. The one interesting thing that I do not know how it might be going forth next, but that is Sierra's storyline. Now that is again something that I mentioned in the beginning, and I hope they do not converge it into it being one, which I am thinking they might, but I was really not looking forward to that, and I still am not, and I hope they do not, they find something else. Towards the end I saw her go into the washroom and do something. I'm not sure, I do not remember what that was exactly, but I'm hoping that there is some sort of digression from there. Acting still remains subpar, which is one of my only complaints from this thing. The other complaint that I have is, which also brings down my overall review of the show, of the season, is the last episode. This is something that I was afraid they might do throughout the season. I'm glad they did not, but they ended up doing it in the last season, which kind of feels worse, because they had built it up to such a good spot by the end of the 4th episode, and that is that emotional quotient ends up overshadowing the actual theatrics, and that is something that I do not enjoy with Money Heist, especially towards the ending, because they tend to overdo it sometimes. They tend to cater too much to the emotional aspect, and with a show that is supposed to be this intense, it does not fit well all the time. So that is the only thing. I really hope, again, like I mentioned in the last episode's review also, I really hope they do not, I really hope they had not this thing, the episode, how they constructed the episode, I really hope they had not. But again, that is what it is. Does not dampen my mood too much. I'm still excited about the 6th and the last season, which is coming out in December. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Really overall good season. I think I'd rate that, if it had not been for the last episode and they had done it a bit better, I would have rated it an 8, but I think I'd go with a 7.5 on 10. So yeah, that is it from my side. I hope you enjoyed it. This was my first time doing a video review, and I hope it came out well. Please go follow me on Instagram or YouTube, wherever the alternate is that from the one that you're watching right now. Go like and subscribe. You know the deal. Just do that, please. I'm really trying to build something over here. So it'll really help. Each like, each subscribe, each follow. You know, it really counts. It's a drop in the ocean, but every drop counts. It's the same cliche thing, but yes, it really matters. So yeah, that's it for now. Catch you on next time.